Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, aka the Going North Podcast, where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. You'll leave with at least one new piece of inspiration or information to help you keep going north. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, is the Going North Podcast. That's right, folks, where authors survive my occasional puns of nonsense that are borderline. Who am I kidding? They're not borderline. They're actually corny. They're like actual corn cobs. They appear out of the freaking cornfields and into the ears of random folks who will actually listen. And today we got a super special, awesome human for you today, because today's guest in particular, she's like a Jill of all trades, a Jill of many talents, because Jack has to step out of the way, because my goodness, a preeminent author whose professional career began back in 1997. That's right, folks. Back in the 90s, y'all, with the first published work. And since then, she's explored many different writing genres and created a loyal group of fans who eagerly await her newest releases. That's right. She's even got a shiny new book coming out in 2022. And with numerous books and accomplishments to her name, she continues to push literary boundaries, finding her voice in different media. So she's a fellow podcast host, hypnotherapist. She's also a past life regressionist, NLP programmer, soul realignment practitioner, and advanced soul therapist. So let's give it up for the one, the only CM herself, Miss Claudia Monacelli. How you doing today, Claudia?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm listening to you. It made me laugh just listening to you. People read that. They might think I'm really off the wall. Where? What is she doing? Does she go to sleep at night? Is this for real? Because I forever, I was a conference interpreter, with the earphones where you listen to one language and you speak another. And at one conference, this group of men came up to me, up to the booth, and there was a break, and they said, "Wow, we want to meet your husband." Why? He must have a lot of patience with you. I said, "Oh, I never thought of it that way."
That's a weird observation.
Yeah, you never know what people think. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord. So what can we do? What can we do? I know that your listeners are thinking, well, what are they going to talk about now? What are they going to talk about? I know what I'm going to talk about. And he said he was game. Dom was game. And one of the things, can I go on, Dom? You want me to shut me off?
Go on ahead. Let's see where this goes. Besides okay. North, it'll probably go east, north, or northeast.
No, it's going to go north. Okay, so usually on podcasts, people plug their books, people plug anything they have to plug, and I don't like that. I don't like that when they do it on my show. I don't like to do it on other people's shows. But the book that's coming out, it's based on archetypes, and every chapter is an archetype, and it pitches not to people like Dom, but to millennial women. So he's out of the picture. But the work I do with archetypes targets couples and singles as well. And what I do, I thought it would be nice if we did Dom, if we, analyzed him a little bit and we get to know what he's really like. So the way I do it is I take 4 different angles of archetypes. So 4 different archetypes that you present as in certain contexts, right? So let's say that there's an overarching archetype. You're born, as soon as you start crying, your mom knows, oh, Jesus, this is going to be a pain in the neck. But so I'll start with that. And the major influencing archetype that I found for you, Dom, is a revolutionary. And revolutionaries are people who sort of live on the boundaries of what's accepted, and they start to push the envelope, they push the boundaries, and they want to change things, but they want to get people on their side to change things. So they are not revolutionary unless they have other people with them, and this is what I see you as, an overall archetype. Now this changes when we put you in a position of being with a partner. All right. You're in a relationship, male, female, whatever it is, but you typically come out as the king. And we know what a king is like, right? And your partner, whether it's a male or female, is a maiden in a relationship. But what happens with the king? And this, typically, Dom, I've done a study 3-4 months ago on my channel where I ask my subscribers to send me 2 names, whether it's mother, daughter, father, husband, whatever, business partners, just the first names. And then I would do the study and do the archetype reading online. And it was this companionship, partnership, and the most widely disseminated couples relationship archetype pattern is the king and the maiden. And what happens with the king and the maiden? We have the king. Okay, we know what the king is like. What motivates the king? Self-esteem and self-respect. But the maiden is motivated by safety and security. She needs safety and security. Now, this is good for him because he's a protector. He could protect her. But, he needs to, if he needs to change, he has to feel vulnerable to change. And the maiden can't help him with that. But she can help him relax and see the beauty in the world. But she's naive, and her naive nature will only bring his king out in full force. So he's always going to be the king with her, always, always, always. And so he thinks with her, he's safe. She's his responsibility. She's under his control. Now, the maiden's spontaneous. She's adventurous. At times, she can show him a good time, especially if they travel. He may not be too demanding of her at first. So she's easygoing, and he likes that, and innocent, and she won't challenge him straightforward. She won't challenge him outright. He tries to protect her from the harshness of life. And so far we get it. But in life, in her life, the maiden needs to learn how to stand on her own 2 feet. And the king wants to take care of her, so he's not going to help her learn how to stand on her own 2 feet. But the positive side is that she makes him feel young, and he likes to have her around. He enjoys showing her off like a trophy person, and he really believes that she is his possession, and he thinks she can't live without him. She's more resourceful than he thinks. What happens in the long run is she looks up to him, of course. He's the rock in her life and her personal defender, but they start to clash if he lets his guard down and isn't there for her when she needs him. After a while, his demands change for her, and she could become harsh and jaded. And he's there left scratching his head thinking, what happened to that wonderful, innocent, sweet woman that was my maiden? And eventually she'll learn how to stand up to him, and he won't be ready for that. So that's how I see you in a typical companion relationship. But then there are 2 others that I looked at. One is the greatest pastime, your hobbies, when you are having fun, what you do with a passion. How do you come out? What archetype emerges? And it came out as the fashionista, which I thought was really cool, an eye to the, what goes, those earrings, and I like that top, and I think that's the fashionista. Just look at that leather coat and the jacket. Wow, that's a nice tie. And that's how I see you, as in your element. You're in your element. Now, then we've got the transgression. What happens in the bedroom? And this made me roll on the floor. You're your archetype that comes out as the victim. And your name, Dom, is changed when you get in the bedroom. You like to be in the sub position. And I've said it all. Now I will be quiet.
Oh, well, that was definitely interesting.
I know there's not going to be a comment. No comment. Ladies, folks, well, what can I say?
It's actually kind of interesting because, I mean, the thing is, this is only, what, 3% of what to expect from the book coming up next year, right?
Right. The magic of pleasure seeking, yeah. And I'm having fun writing it, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I don't know what else I could plug. What else can I plug?
Oh, my goodness.
So yes, I will be quiet.
Ladies,
You can ask me a
first,
question.
go on ahead. Go on ahead.
No. I was just going to say, have you ever thought of putting these episodes into some kind of written medium, like a book, or the worst and the best, or how to bring the worst out of people, or how to make, them shine, or something?
You said bring the worst out of people. Well, that's not the intention. Well, let's get that part out the way. Definitely not the worst. Some folks may have said things that they regret, and I didn't put that out into the world. That's just happened before, but no, not the worst out of people.
Oh, you mean people do it all by themselves? You don't do that. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, shoot, some past stuff came out. Oh, he actually did some research. Oh, he's digging. Oh, crap, I should say something new. Oh, crap, that was too new. Don't put that out in the public. Like, all right, fine.
It's already out there. He's just reading.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be in the works in the future, giving credits to every single guest on the show. That definitely contributes some fabulosity to the whole podcast as well, because, hey, highlighting different folks, different careers who've lived interesting lives, and you yourself have lived and are still living an interesting life, because I hear you love to swim.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I don't know. I can't say why I love it, but I know why I love it. I was a marathon run. I was a runner, slow runner, right? And one time, this guy I used to date was going to run the New York Marathon. I said, oh, well, I'd love to try it. And so it took me like 5.5 hours. And I didn't train for it. I didn't know what I was doing. Then when I grew older, I thought, let me try it again. And so then I started doing marathons at 50, and it was so much fun. And my time was even shorter than that. I did the Rome marathon, but then after a while, I thought, this is for the birds. I just want the cobblestones on the cobblestones and running. It's driving me crazy. And so I thought, well, and I'm living now in a place in the center where I could walk to the Coliseum, which is 15 minutes, and 2 blocks away is this fabulous, it's one of the best swimming pools in Rome. And I thought, oh God, all right, I'm back. And so that's it. So I just go and swim my heart out 3 times a week at least, and just dive in. I love it. You just, da, 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 da. And you're always floating, you're always floating. It's wonderful. You go underneath the water, you don't hear anything. I love that. Your sound is, and you could see underwater. I love it. Even the kids that come from summer camps and swim in the first 2 rows of the thing that they make, it doesn't even bother me. Nothing bothers me when I'm in the water. Yeah, it was nice. Except today, Today I was doing my laps, boom, 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 backstroke. And then somebody hit my head with his head. And I turned around and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." I said, "Don't you know we have to go like counterclockwise? You're supposed to be over there." "Oh, is that sure? Is that true?" I said, "Yeah." So you went over there.
Ouch.
A lump on my head.
Ouch.
Yeah, but that was easy though. You're in the water and you don't feel it. Yeah. What do you do for movement to move?
Oh, movement. Ha! Oh man, like a lot of that, really just at home workouts right now. Definitely going to be
Oh,
getting back into
oh,
martial arts soon because that's something I do
ooh,
miss a lot.
ooh.
So,
What is which martial arts, if I
ah,
might ask?
sure. Yeah, sure. So I used to do taekwondo and kickboxing for about a good
Ooh, mm,
6 years.
yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot about Taekwondo. So many people talk to me about it. That you should get into that. You should get into that. I don't know. I've got to eat sometime. You can't do it. Yes, there's a limit. But that's great. I don't know. Are the gyms open? Are they open now to do that? Can you go?
Oh yeah, they're open. It's just that the mask mandates are in a lot of places, at least in my state and New York and other places. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh God, because I still remember my days in there. Like every day was leg day with Taekwondo, because 70% of your movement has to do with your legs. It's punching
Right.
and kicking, but 70% of it's kicking. And it's like, oh, every day's a leg day. So yeah, good times indeed. But yeah, I was asking about I was bringing up the fact that you love to swim because you swim through a lot of different interests in your
Yeah. Yeah.
lifetimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I have. Yeah.
And you're like
Yeah.
a tenured professor. So as a younger Claudia, did you imagine yourself being a tenured professor, if not doctor, getting all these apples on her desk?
Well, my first thing, I really thought, okay, I'm going to the United Nations. And I started I started training to be an interpreter. And my professor worked for the State Department, and he said, "No, you really would." When I went to him crying my eyes out because my grades were so low, I said, I always get bad grades. I never had bad grades. I like this paper. He said, "No, give me the tissues." He said, "No, Claudia, you're really good. You have the aptitude." Okay, you say that to all the girls. I was going to say. And then he told me about what he did. He was a professor, but he worked for the State Department. And I thought, okay, let me try it. So I applied. And after I got out of college, and after a couple of months, they got in touch with me. And it was, eh, you know, nothing like I expected. Well, it was a freelance interpreting position where I traveled with foreign delegates who were invited to the United States. And we never knew where they were going to go because I'd get the bio sheet. I was living in New York when that started out in New York City. And I'd get the bio sheet. I'd have a day to respond, whether I was free or not, and would I be available for a month. Usually it's a month or 2 weeks. 2 weeks was only once. The rest were always a month. And what happens is you're given the date, and on that date, you travel from New York to Washington, D.C. to their office, the travel office or whatever. I don't know specifically what they call it now, where they sit down with the delegate. It could be a young politician, a journalist, an artist, to understand how political their interests were. Did they want to talk to the media? Did they want to go to museums? Did they want to talk to curators? Did they want to, all these things? And on the basis of what they wanted to do, then the trip was going to be planned. And so you had to come from the city, from New York City, there, knowing that it's going to be cold in San Francisco, because I learned my lesson. Every time I went there, I froze. So I brought some warm clothes, and you could be going to Hawaii. You never knew, you had to bring something, a bathing suit or something. So that was interesting right there. And then the trip would start. And so that was fun. That was nice. It was challenging, really, really challenging, because it wasn't all about the language, how to find the proper tax language for the tax meeting that you had with, because you could get that sooner or later. It was being delicate, because sometimes people don't want to be understood when they talk. Yeah. I don't mean sometimes, a lot of times.
What's to do with
It's true. It's so terrible. And, and on the one hand, and the interpreters, the middleman, so they'll get blamed, in inverted commas, for not understanding because the person doesn't understand. So if one of the people starts, typically it's the Italian or the European, will start blowing smoke in the other person's eyes, and the American would say, oh, either they would say, oh, I understand fully, and this was a person with experience, or they'd say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Then the trouble starts. Then the trouble started, and so usually, it's never a one-on-one. It's never I said, he said what I said, what they said. You can't say what they said. You have to in some way interpret what they're saying, and so then there's this social delicate dance, and not knowing, they're looking at each other, and it's difficult. It could be difficult, but sometimes it could be challenging, extra challenging. There's a story. There was I don't know if I could talk about it, but in any case, I was in a situation where there was a young politician from Italy, and we were in a large NATO group, and at the end of our tour in this underground facility, we sat down, and the person giving us the talk started telling us all of how everything worked, and the electronics, and how they can blow up the world with one, push of a button. And he said, ask him how much money he makes. Ask him how much money he makes. I said, I just can't ask him. He could do something you don't. And he stands up, and he's in Italian. He says, how much money do you make? I wanted to crawl under my seat. So, of course, I had to say something. I stood up and I said, the gentleman to my right wants to know how much you earn. And the response was, you want to know how much I earn? You want to know how much I earn? And at the time, it was, he was working he was a general, and he came out with something like $35,000. But this is way back when. And it was still little, it was still little, really nothing. And he was responding to the looks in the crowd, and he was saying, you think that's a lot? You think that's, and then he was from Texas, and his ego, it was difficult. He had riding boots, and it was difficult. But that was one thing. Or you go on, you have a meeting, a breakfast meeting, the person doesn't show up, the delegate doesn't show up, the person, and that's, you're caught in the middle, and sometimes I feel like I'm a babysitter. I felt like, and sometimes, sometimes you just don't want to say what people say, you just want them to shut up. So that was challenging. And so I guess maybe this, this beginning, this humble, a beginning of having to repeat or interpret got me to start writing. And so I started writing books. Let me say my own words. Come out with my own ideas. If I'm going to get criticized, I don't care. Maybe I'll learn something. People will read it. Oh, if they're criticizing, that means they read it. Oh, Lord. Yeah, done a lot of different things. Yeah, a lot of different things. But I channel. Another thing that is interesting, that I'm a medium, so I channel souls that have passed, and people come to me on a regular basis to speak with loved ones who have departed, right? And that is something that gets me in trouble, because I invariably forget to clear myself before, clear myself after, and I always get this negative energy. Then I start, sprained ankle, bump on the head, and I know I screwed up, But it's difficult as well because people challenge you. They want to know if I would, that kind of thing. So it's okay. And so that's interesting. That's really interesting because I tell them things I could never know. I just could never know. Um, so that's interesting, even for me as a medium. It's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Trying to think of other things. I don't know if I have anything else that's interesting to say, Dom.
Lies! You're freaking living an interesting life. And it was actually funny that you mentioned how people don't want to be understood, which is kind of funny at
Yeah,
first. It's like,
yeah,
because I'm sure a lot of folks that listen to the show have read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where it's like, yeah, seek first to understand before being understood. But it's like, forget that. Like, I don't want you to understand what I'm saying, depending on the situation.
yeah, yeah. And so most of the time, people think on their feet not very well, and they just throw out words, and they just repeat the words that were said up top, and then bring them down and spit them out, and it could be embarrassing. But in writing, though, if you look at writing, newspapers and stuff like that, that is, black on white. It's a little different, and it has to make sense before they print. When you publish something, everybody looks at it and dissects it. And what do you mean by this? And shouldn't it be comma and, or do you mean that? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. But I like that. I like writing. I love writing, actually. I just love it. I love writing. It teaches you a lot about yourself. And when you start, you never know where it's going. And when it goes in one direction, you have to stop and look back and then think, oh, okay, how much of that can I keep? How much of it was really in line with what I was thinking? Maybe I'll change the index a little bit and make, room for that idea too. It's nice. It's really fun. It's sort of like keeping a diary or journaling when you were younger, and then maybe journaling even now. But in this case, you sort of, it's sort of one-on-one. It's you against you, and you against the way you think. It challenges your thinking process. That's what I think. That's why I like it so much. Yeah. Yep. That's why I asked
Yeah.
you when the book is coming out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's just the thing. It's like, which one to release and which one to actually finish. The drawback of being a creative mind, it's like, I gotta get bored with one thing, move to the next thing. It's like, oh
I
yeah, let me
know.
pick this back up. It's like, oh god.
I know. I know. I know. I know. I used to do that all the time. I still do 10,000 things. Once in high school, my gym teacher, right? My gym teacher said to me, Claudia, you do too many things and you never finish any of them. And she turned and walked away. And I thought, son of a bitch. And so from that moment, I started finishing everything. I started finishing everything. Boom, boom, closed. Get it out. And always think of her. See, you should see me now. I'm the starter. Yeah, I know. You're creative. Like you said, creative people, you just get everything out, and you've got to get it out, put it on paper, take notes and get all the notes out. But then it gets a little more difficult to see it all through. But the next step though, Dom, the really interesting next step is when you have all of these notes out. I don't know how you would take them or how you do it. If you have, say, Post-its or like private investigators put things on windows, when you see it and you look all around, you start seeing patterns, and then you get them and then you put them in one place. And that is so much fun. It is so much fun. It's so much fun. It's like a crossword puzzle. And you feel now it's coming to get all the pieces together. It's really, really not the who done it. And then the end. Ooh, what's the last takeaway? How am I going to finish the book? That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Hey, you can say that again. So do you see yourself writing a mystery novel in the future?
Well, I was gonna go down the erotica, not the mystery. I love mysteries. I love mysteries. I love reading the mysteries. I don't think I'm capable of doing a mystery thriller, the kind that I like to read. I don't think I could do, but I can, and I usually do, write intrigue. There's intrigue in everything that I do. And there's in my writing, the intrigue is in every sentence because it's a, it's a, well, it's a skill that you have to learn to tame because people have to understand, and you cannot do that all the time, and that I like, that I can do. But I don't see myself doing anything of fiction at all. I can see myself doing voiceover and audiobooks, reading my own books, or putting the voice to my own audiobook. But nonfiction is probably my best bet. Nonfiction. But you gave me an idea.
That's right. Maybe blend them.
Yeah, blend. Well, the State Department was an interesting experience after all, and there. I guess it was 2 days ago. Hillary Clinton is writing with Louise. I can't remember her name. Both of them. The book is coming out mid-October, and it's on pre-sale now. And it's really interesting. I can't remember the title for the life of me, but it's fascinating. I mean, the concept is fascinating. It's a fiction, so I like the idea of her putting herself, to the test of fiction, even if it's with another really great fiction writer. And that gave me an idea. I started thinking, I wonder if I could ever do that. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I've got a series on my podcast called The Voice of Power. And that might be a way to start talking about it, I guess. What is power, right? That's another that's part of a chapter 2. I have a little piece. What is power anyway? Yeah, I got that. And that's social power, the way to use language and power, and how, sometimes people think that being very straightforward is more powerful, but it's not. According to my studies, at least, it's the distance that you keep from the person you're speaking to, and that amounts to using passives instead of active voices in your verbs and things like that. And it's fascinating how you can then come closer to the person far away. It's interesting. Yeah, power is an interesting concept. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because a lot of folks may think they want it until they get a taste of it. It's like, oh, maybe not. I think I'm good.
Yeah. Well, you got responsibility. That's the problem. The power. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I got to drink responsibly. That's right. That's right.
I only have tea here.
Well, I saw a corny quab joke opportunity, so I couldn't help myself. I'm like, I see her drinking. She say responsibility. All right, cool. Drink responsibly.
You are corny. You gave me that's you are the definition of corny.
That's right.
Good for you.
I refer to myself as the corny joke colonel. Yes, indeed.
Kernels, that's the word I couldn't remember. The kernels on the cob, I couldn't remember that word. Yeah, they're like teeth. Yeah.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So when you're on the guest side of the game on these microphones and the podcasts and whatnot, is there a question that you wish you would receive more often?
No.
I mean, you can say no if you want, because folks don't. Half the folks say no to this question anyway. So.
Oh, really? No. Well, sometimes there are things that people don't ever ask me. Well, for example, my voice coaching, no one ever asks me about that ever. And that's okay. That's okay. I'll wait till it comes out. And or other things. And I don't care if they ask me or not, but I wonder why, they go to certain things. A lot of people ask me about my medium work as a medium, and how does it work, and what do you do, and have you ever, and are you afraid, and things like that. How did it start, and okay, I get that. And then I had a whole episode on my working as an interpreter and communication. It was all about communication. Okay. And that was real. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it until I came on and they were said, "Oh, we're going to talk about communication." Oh, okay. And we started, there was, I'll make you laugh. We were talking, because I'm a podcaster and you're a podcaster. The same woman who was talking about communication was a podcaster. And I said, communication is really difficult. Even when you're doing the podcast, sometimes, I don't know how to, not micromanage, but I'm the gatekeeper, right? You ask questions. You're a gentleman as a host. I tend to like to go under the surface and get people to talk about how they felt in that, that kind of stuff. I like to know a little bit more. And we got to talking about that. It is fascinating. It's so fascinating because you meet so many different people. And what's interesting is when you don't, because, all right, you see how the person is on paper or what they say about themselves. And, but then when you meet them, I like to be surprised. You find a person who is, I'll give you an example. There was a theologist. Okay. So I thought, well, the magic of pleasure seeking, it was called that then when I invited him. I said, I've never had a person like you before. I've had a sex therapist, but I've never had, a theologist. And so he teaches the Bible in a certain university and all of that. And, but he was just such a sweetheart. And the way he works with people, because I, challenged him, I said, well, look, let's, everything passes by word of mouth. Let's say that your type of work was, was spread. He lives, I think, in Florida, and somebody from, say, Miami, he was out of Miami, I think, heard about your work, and so they went to meet you, but they're not at all a believer, or they have no religious affiliation. How would you work with them? And it was just such a sweet answer. And how he says, well, the answer boiled down to taking the person by the hand and let that person understand about certain things that they want, and their intentions. And I thought, wow, when can I come? Give me an appointment. Come on. So I like being surprised like that, So it's really interesting, really interesting. It's because there's nothing more interesting than people. Come on. And the craziness in the mind, how the mind works, and what people really think, and what they do. They're traveling salesmen, and they're cross dressers at night, or they're so different. They're so different people. They do so many different things, and it's fabulous. I like it. I like that. Yeah. And sometimes, sometimes I used to have, ever since I was young, I guess in my teens, I always used to say, I want to jump out of an airplane in a parachute. I've got to do that before I die. And so, as time went by, I thought, well, that changed. I will jump out of an airplane with an instructor. Okay. So then now I don't got to do that.
It just got progressively just worse. It's like, this never happened.
I'll film it.
Just Photoshop your face on it.
idea.
You're like, I did it, y'all. That's right. It's like, why is her hand brown? Don't worry about it. I got a good tan that day. It was priceless. I was in the sun waiting that long.
But, there are those hot air balloons. Those are really nice. Now that I wouldn't jump out of it, but
Yeah, please
I,
don't.
I like to
Please
fly. I
don't.
would like to. I wanted to be a pilot when I was young. I really did. I really, really did. I wanted to join the Air Force, and I couldn't. They didn't take me because I didn't have. I was too astigmatic. Even if I wore contact lenses, they just wouldn't take me. So that was. Oh well. All right. Next life, I thought. So then I thought, okay, I have to get up in the air somehow. So, but that's yeah, I used to dream about that, dream about flying, dreaming. I really dreaming that at like 2 or 3 in the evening when everybody was sleeping, there was a 2-seater, and I would get on the rooftop and I would sit in and just take off for a ride. That was such a liberation. Oh God, I used to dream about that so much, and it was so refreshing. And I thought to myself, man, you're good. You're good at this. And nobody knows how good this is. Yeah. Yeah. What
Well,
about
speaking of,
aliens? God, aliens. That just made me think of the flying saucer. Go ahead, you talk.
well, I'm glad you're on this show. This is what I'm talking about. We're on the same wavelength here. That's what I'm talking about indeed. That's right. That's right. It's aliens. That's right. They finally decided to visit Earth, and they decided to put on the news in America for like 10 seconds. Then went back to random COVID numbers, and I was like, oh, okay then. All right. They probably wanted to get that off of their conscience if they had one. That actually happened.
Gotta meet one. I gotta meet one. I want to meet one.
That's right. Especially if it's Alien Gonzalez. But yeah, so with all this but all this wonderful flying and the flying saucers with the wonderful pizza sauce, even though it probably has no idea or makes any sense at all. You got this wonderful career, or at least one of these wonderful trades that you do where you're a vocal coach. So how did that come together? Did someone just hear your voice in some earphones like, man, she's a sexy voice, like she just do voice work? Is that what happened?
No. Well, I coach. I'm a voice coach, so I do. Of course, in my YouTube channel, I do all of I do ASMR. I do reading just for reading's sake with certain conditions, But why I started the voice coaching actually is because I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner, and that has all to do with teaching the body how to use the body properly, learning how to use your body, and it works on the skeletal system. And what fascinated me was because my students that I teach, conference interpreting students, it's not about their language skills, really. They are so nervous that they, their voice just cracks. They can't get it out. And they forget that it's just a job. You get paid to do that, and you have to pay the bills to do that. They have this idea that they fly around the world to become famous, and that's the problem. You fly and you travel, you don't see anything. That's the big problem. But then I thought, well, that's a nice offshoot, because I know how to do this. And working with people, I would rather work with the voice, because the voice it's really, how there was that expression, the eyes are the windows of the soul. Well, for me, the voice is the soul, because as soon as you open your mouth, if that person slept, if that person's a smoker, if they drank too much, if they ate what they ate, and so it really talks about you. And so I opted for that, and I like that. Of course, I do other, there's a hands-on practice that's called functional integration, and it's really just touching in a certain way, and it allows the person, these are done with clothed people with their clothes on, and you allow them to move in a certain way so you understand how their skeleton should operate. But you have them walk, you look at them and see how they walk, and you see how they tend to walk and in a certain fashion. And so then you get them on the table and you start working with them. That for me is fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah. Fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, she threw some spice on that one. She threw some spice on that one. She's like, yeah, I had to add the U with that one. The fabulous. Make sure you hear the U. That's right. D. My goodness, my goodness. So, is there any other things you're gonna be picking up in this lifetime? Like, are you gonna do actual underwater basket weaving?
Oh, Jesus. I thought about, well, I will be, I will say something that didn't go forward because I said, no, I can't do that. I started out of Borden again. I started because in college and high school, I worked with um, archery and was really good at it. And in Rome here, near where I was living, there was an archery association. And so I started going. And they saw that I was really good. After 20 years, I hadn't even used one. And they asked me to be on the national team, the national women's team. There were 4 women. There were 3 women. There were 5, actually. They wanted me to come on the team. And I thought, oh my God, no, no, oh my God. They move, they go on, they travel around the world to do this. I can't do that. Do I really want to be serious about that? And so I said, nah, I can't do that too. So I took a step back. Now that would have been, that is just fantastic. You go into the woods. It is absolutely fantastic, and it does get things out of you. You think of somebody, I mean, I have a lot of energy, Dom. That's my problem. I have a lot of too much energy for my own good, I think. And so I really need outlets for the energy, or else I could actually kill someone, if they get in my crosshairs. So you can tell today was my swimming day. I'm like a piece of cake. But yeah, I mean, we are who we are, aren't we?
Well, I guess it ain't a good problem to have anymore. I'm like, oh, I got too much energy. That's a good problem to have. Oh yeah, I might kill somebody if I don't have an outlet. Like, oh, I guess maybe it's a bad problem.
No, I mean, you really have to do things, but reading, writing, you're sitting and you're doing it. But after a session of writing, I've got to get up and go dancing. I've got to get up and go running. I've got to get up and go doing things so I could regenerate my thought patterns. It doesn't cut it if I just go cook a meal. It's not enough, and sometimes all of a sudden, though, I'll be so surprised. And all of a sudden, there are a couple of days where, oh, I think I'm just going to stay in bed today. I'm not going anywhere today. So I spend the whole half of the day sitting in bed thinking and watching stupid videos or something and just turning my brain off for a while. But that happens every now and then. But when I'm on a roll, I really have to go. I mean, if I'm on a creative roll, I've got to get it out. It's just, it doesn't come all the time. You have to get something out. Some brainstorm, as you were talking, we hit on the aliens and things. There's this new literary genre that, well, how young people now are into zombies and what's the other, the coming vampires, zombies. I, for the life of me, cannot understand that until I started listening to an audiobook of it was a trilogy, and I got the first one that was written some 20 years ago. I couldn't put it down, and I understood what it was all about. But I don't know if I could get into that. What I can get into is the idea of futuristic, going out, being on a spaceship far away, another universe, traveling around and not being oriented or stuck on one planet. being out there and traveling and having contacts with certain planets. And I like that. I like that idea. That's a nice idea. But I've got to get a plot. I've got to get a good plot. I gotta get
Interpretation
politics.
gone wrong, maybe.
Yeah, you're
Maybe
right.
that could be the plot.
Right. Yeah. There's got to be politics in there. There's got to be love, romance, politics, crime. Oh, there's got to be some kind of uh, mafia type of criminality, some kind of organized crime. There you go. Some kind of organized crime, powerful organized crime in some kind of sector. Yeah, I don't know. That'll take a while to pin down. There's got to be sex in it too. There's got to be lust and sex, and that puts, they say money makes the world go round, but that's not true. Passion, sex makes people go to war, really. So I mean, it used to anyway. I don't know. Probably now it's different.
Yeah, I'm sure sex and money, I guess.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. What makes the world go round? Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Right round like a record. That's right. Right round indeed.
Oh, that's Lord. My spirituality books down. I know where they're going to go. I have them, outlined and all of that. I'm not going to go there yet. It's too early for that.
So let me get this lust and erotica out the way first, then go to spiritual route, right?
Yeah. Lust and erotica. I think that would be nice, because you have to get the right voice to do that. That would be interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting. What motivated me, what sort of brought me to the idea of Superwoman, the latest one. There were so many different versions. What was the actress? I can't remember her name, but that got me thinking of a world where there were all females and males were used for certain purposes. I haven't figured out what yet.
Oh, okay.
Leave him out.
It's like, oh, yeah, certain purposes. Like, all right, okay. I have a feeling where this might be going, or might not be going.
Yeah, there's so many that you could possibly think of. The stories that people tell, there's so many different stories that are even impossible to think about, but I don't know. I sort of have had it with the stories that, come out with a loser who then became a hero, or a survivor from a tragedy then went on to do. I get that. That is okay. But I get tired of listening to that. It's from bad to good. It's always from bad to good. We never hear the good to bad. And I think that's really more interesting when you become a derelict, and then just to try it out, or not even to try it out. You just go there because that's what happens. And I guess the idea is to change the perspective of the way things are played out. It gives you a different take on how stories could come out. But I've gotten, now just talking to you, you're very inspirational, Dom. Even just talking to you, I'm getting all these ideas.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. Usually one of the goals of the show, put them at ease, have them inspired to do more great work indeed. And then they come back for round 2 if they survive the first round of the corn cobs coming out of their ears. That's right.
Look, I listened to one of your episodes, and I was listening to your voice and I was thinking, I wonder if that's a put on accent. I'm thinking he must do this really, he must be able to go in and out of different dialects or accents, regional American accents. And I thought, he's playing, that's not his real voice. It was pretty good. It was really, really good, though. It was really good. Almost believable.
Oh, yeah. That's like the funniest thing ever. It's like, oh, my man's Southern. Like, oh, where's your family from? Oh, yeah, North Carolina. It's like, oh, yeah, we got you pinned down. You're Southern. Like, yeah, y'all keep believing that one. I just listened to a bunch of Southern folks talk for laughs and giggles on YouTube for a few years and eventually became a part of me of my usual lazy, lackadaisical self that I choose to
Oh,
be, the
oh,
playful
your
self.
repertoire. Wow. He's got the Southern repertoire. Whoa.
Yeah, at
Have
least
you
that's
ever
what most
done
folks think it is.
you ever done advertising?
I should. Well, actually,
Yeah.
yeah, I have. Well, not big, not big level advertising, but on the show, yeah, I've done a couple ads before. Usually,
Well, did you like to do that?
I mean, for a friend, yeah, sure, that was fun. It's like reading the stuff, especially if it's like stuff I can play around with. It's like, oh yeah, this sounds even better than before. Like, yeah, messing around with it. If it's good stuff, then yeah, don't mind advertising. Sounds good.
Because I was
Sounds good.
thinking of that, because I was thinking of the challenge. It's not really the advertising I'm interested in. You don't, you make peanuts, but what I'm interested in is the challenge of making something sound interesting. And I'm thinking of doing that, I'm thinking of doing that, reading an ad, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is. Ah, hopefully a product I could, it's not tampons or something that I could talk about, Vitamins. All right. New space food. Yeah.
Well, speaking
Yeah.
of food, that's actually leads to a special question I've been torturing the guests with recently that you probably haven't
Oh.
even heard yet.
Hmm.
And even though this book isn't out yet, if your book was a particular food item, what would it be and why?
I'll tell you what food it's going to be. It is. It's a grapefruit. My logo is a grapefruit. It's a grapefruit with my Instagram is like that. The magic of flower, the magic of flower speaking, the magic of
Flower.
pleasure speaking, and it's a vector picture of a grapefruit with a little tiny heart in the middle, and it's a grapefruit because I love the pink of the grapefruit. A grapefruit, yeah, grapefruit always makes
Uh,
me smile. The pink grapefruits because they're sweeter. Mm-hmm.
there we go. They're sweeter and it fits with the pleasure theme. Pink and pleasure, right?
Yeah, yeah. My logo was actually my thumbnail was pinkish. Yeah. But I love the idea of the pineapple, not pineapple. The grapefruit is just really a kind of fruit that people don't think of eating, but you really are missing things because especially the sweet ones, they really could wake you up. They wake you up. As a matter of fact, I should go get some. It's not too late because I don't have them at home. But yeah, that would be my book, The Magic of Pleasure Seeking, a grapefruit, pink grapefruit. Yeah.
So it's a vitamin C and P. That's what I'm talking about, folks. That's right.
Yeah, CMP, you're right.
That's right. You're still in Rome, right?
Yeah, I'm in Rome. Yeah. I've been trying to get to the States again. And I just, I was almost buying the tickets a month ago. And I thought, I can't. I have to wait to see what happens there. And New Jersey is okay. But when you get on the planes, you don't know what to expect. I have a son in Berlin and he had just had a kid. And so I thought, I have to go. Right. It was full of COVID. So to
Oh,
get there, it's a 2-hour flight. They don't have direct flights during that time. They didn't have any. I had to have, I had to bring 8 documents. The swab. There were no vaccines then, and the document that says that my son was and his mother and all of that. finally I get there. I stay 10 days, 10, almost 2 weeks. And I get back on the plane, the same thing, another swab, the whole thing. And there were two flights. There was a layover in Munich coming back. And I get home after. 2 days later, I get a call from Lufthansa saying that a passenger that boarded in Munich who was sitting near me tested positive for COVID and go get tested. I almost flipped. I almost started screaming. And I thought, oh, Jesus. So I went, got it done. I was just negative, but God, how did that slip through? How did that slip through? Right. And so I'm not really in the mood of going through that again until I'll wait till the spring, come back. It's a shame though. It's a shame. Yeah. I really wanted to go back to the Jersey Shore that I hated when I was there, but I love it now. Big beaches and Long Branch and all those beautiful sand. It's great, great. Yeah.
Jersey Shore, I hate it.
I know. I know, but I mean, come on. You've got it all in New Jersey. It's called the Gardens. They used to say this is the pits. But no, you go skiing. You can go skiing. An hour away, you go skiing in North Jersey. And then you go to the beach another hour away. But beautiful. Really are beautiful beaches. There are really nice beaches. He's nodding his head. Yeah. Make her think I think so too.
No, just the whole tonality of that whole sentence. It was hilarious. It was like, oh yeah, it's like the love of my life, and I hate it. Like, what?
I hated it back then. I thought I got to get out of here. Let me go to some real beaches, the Canary Islands, or
Well, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time you're in 2021 with all of your knowledge and experience. What advice would you give to yourself?
Get on that plane and jump out of the parachute right away. Don't wait. Go and do that. If you want to jump out in a parachute, do it right away. Right away. That's what I would say. You think of it, you do it. Don't wait. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right. So if you're thinking of giving Claudia $1,000 for all of her work, go ahead and do it. That's right. Just go ahead and do it. That's right.
Sure. Go ahead. You'll find me. I don't want praise. I just want money. I'll take bribes. I tell my students, I'll take bribes. Bring me a ham. Come on. I don't want the apples. Wine. I'll take a bottle of wine.
Oh, yes. Okay. If I give her a bottle of wine, she'll give me an A automatically. She'll drink and forget my paper. It'll be perfect.
Oh, it's going to take, it depends on the paper. Not one might not be enough.
Damn. Well, and again, I can understand. I've turned in some bad papers myself before, so yeah.
You just didn't know. Maybe you weren't a connoisseur of wine. Not enough. Another thing I thought about that it was be worth in the future thinking of, to be oh God, I can't even remember the name. The wine taster. What is it called? Help me,
it's not sommelier, is it?
Sommelier, well, sommelier, the sommelier, yeah, with the little spoon, and yeah, that's that they have some really nice courses here in Rome. Actually, it's a long ordeal to do that, and if you go do it, you have to be serious. It's like that archery. I have to leave it behind for a while. Yeah. Gee, this was so much fun, Dom. Gee, thank you for letting me just say whatever I want and do whatever I want. That was fun.
Oh yeah. That's right. And for those who want to continue the fun on the bun, good time with you, what's the best way for folks to keep up with what you're doing?
Well, Well, YouTube, you can get me on YouTube, Claudia Monacelli, aka Christelle Martinelli. You see the crazy things I'll do there. Instagram, the magic of pleasure seeking. In every place, I'll always be Claudia Monacelli, aka Christelle Martinelli. I have a website, claudiamonacelli.com or christellemartinet.com, two different websites, the crazy one and the more serious one. Yeah, you'll find me. You'll find me. You'll find me. Yeah.
That's right. Don't worry, they're both fun sites. One's fun, one's even more fun than the other. That's all she meant to say. That's all.
You're right. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's like a tag team. That's right. It's like a dance between two. It's like, hey, covering up for one another. That's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So there you have it, folks. Reach out to the good Dr. Sylph. Reach out, see what she's doing. Be on the lookout for that magical book next year. The Magic of Pleasure Seeking with the Grapefruit, y'all. I'm telling you. That's
Yeah.
right. You might even feel like you have like the biggest grapefruits ever after reading it, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. You're right. Who knows?
So any parting words before we close up shop?
No, I think we're going to have a hell of a job editing this.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message, because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread, if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway, because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.